Is it just a string of bad luck? Is it a difficult season of life? Or is it something more sinister? We live in a world that has largely forgotten the reality of the spiritual battle. We explain away conflict with psychology, dismiss temptation as a personal weakness, and relegate the devil to the realm of myth and horror movies. But the Catholic Church, in her 2,000-year-old wisdom, has never forgotten. She teaches that the devil is real, that he is active in the world, and that his primary target is the one institution that most reflects the life of the Trinity: the family. The devil's attacks on the family are often disguised as everyday problems, which makes them incredibly dangerous. Here are the 5 warning signs that your family may be under a spiritual attack. Signs you cannot afford to ignore. The battle for souls is real, and it often begins in the home, the domestic church. But before we identify the signs of attack, we must understand the enemy's strategy. The devil, as described by the church fathers and exorcists, is not a boogeyman who jumps out of closets. He is a fallen angel of immense intelligence. He is a strategist. His goal is simple: to separate us from God. And since the family is the first school of love, the first place we learn about God, and the foundation of a healthy society, he attacks it with a special intensity. He knows that if he can destroy the family, he can destroy society. His tactics are predictable. St. Peter warns us, "Be sober-minded and watchful." Your adversary, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion, seeking someone to devour. He seeks to devour our peace, our unity, and our faith. The key to his strategy is deception. He works in the shadows, making his influence look like something else. He wants you to blame your spouse, your children, or your circumstances. He wants you to think the problem is purely natural, because if you don't recognize the spiritual nature of the attack, you will never use the spiritual weapons needed to win the battle. So let's pull back the curtain and look at the 5 key signs of his activity. The first sign of a spiritual attack on a family is a sudden and dramatic increase in discord and division. Every family has disagreements, but this is different. This is a spirit of strife that seems to come out of nowhere and infects everyone. Spouses who were once loving and patient are now constantly bickering, interpreting every word in the worst possible light. Small disagreements explode into huge, bitter arguments. A profound sense of misunderstanding settles over the home. It feels like everyone is walking on eggshells, and the air is thick with tension and resentment. Communication breaks down completely. It's a feeling that an invisible wall has been erected between family members. Old wounds that were long healed are suddenly reopened and become sources of fresh bitterness. Children become unusually rebellious and disrespectful. The unity of the family is shattered, and it is replaced by a culture of accusation, criticism, and emotional distance. This is the devil's classic divide and conquer strategy. He knows that a family united in love is a fortress, so his first move is always to try to break down the walls of that fortress from the inside. The second sign is a sudden and intense attack on the faith of the family members, especially the father. The father, as the spiritual head of the family, is often the primary target. He may suddenly be plagued with intense doubts about his faith that he has never had before. He might become spiritually lazy, abandoning prayer, and finding excuses to miss Mass. he may become cynical and critical of the church. This spiritual apathy then spreads to the rest of the family. The family rosary, if there was one, is abandoned. Grace before meals becomes rushed or is forgotten entirely. Sacred images in the home might feel out of place, or they may even be taken down. An atmosphere of spiritual dryness and indifference settles over the home. The conversation turns away from spiritual things and becomes focused entirely on worldly concerns. The devil knows that if he can cut the family off from its power source, God, it will be easy to destroy. He attacks the leader first, knowing the rest of the flock will be more likely to scatter. This is why the spiritual life of the father is so critical for the health and safety of the entire family. It's a weight, a responsibility he carries, and a point of attack for the enemy. The third sign is a pervasive and overwhelming sense of discouragement and despair within the family. This is more than just feeling sad or having a bad day. It's a heavy, oppressive blanket of negativity that seems to suffocate the joy out of everything. Family members may feel constantly drained, exhausted, and hopeless. There is a feeling that no matter how hard they try, nothing will ever get better. This despair can manifest in different ways. One family member might fall into a state of depression that seems to have no clear cause. Another might be consumed by anxiety and fear about the future. There can be a string of what appears to be bad luck. Financial problems, health issues, setbacks at work that all seem to pile on at once, designed to crush the family's spirit and lead them to believe that God has abandoned them. This is one of the devil's favorite tools. He is the accuser, the one who whispers lies in our ears. He whispers, "You are a failure. Your family is a mess. God doesn't love you. Just give up." Hope is a theological virtue. It is a supernatural gift that allows us to trust in God's promises. The devil's goal is to extinguish that hope and replace it with the cold darkness of despair. The fourth sign is a sudden and powerful attraction to a particular and persistent sin for one or more family members. This often involves sins that were not a major struggle before. For example, a husband who has always been faithful might suddenly be overwhelmed with intense temptations to pornography or infidelity. A teenager might suddenly get involved with a bad crowd and begin experimenting with drugs or alcohol. There can be a sudden obsession with materialism, a powerful surge of envy or jealousy, or a descent into habitual lying. The attack is targeted and relentless. It feels less like a normal temptation and more like an oppressive obsession. The person feels trapped, as if they have lost their freedom to resist. This is a strategic attack designed to introduce a serious evil into the heart of the family. The devil wants to gain a foothold, to create an addiction or a sinful attachment that will poison the family's spiritual life and create shame, secrecy, and further division. This is spiritual warfare at its most direct, an attempt to enslave a member of the family and, through them, bring down the entire household. The fifth and final sign is a notable aversion to spiritual things. This is a subtle but very telling sign. Family members might suddenly feel a physical or emotional repulsion to prayer or sacred things. The thought of going to Mass might feel incredibly burdensome, even physically uncomfortable. When the family tries to pray together, there might be constant distractions, arguments, or a feeling of oppressive spiritual static in the room. Someone might develop a sudden aversion to a crucifix or a rosary, wanting it out of their sight. This is a sign that the demonic is present and is reacting to the presence of the sacred. Just as a vampire in a movie recoils from a cross, the forces of darkness are repelled by genuine holiness. This is why the best offense is a good offense. Introducing more prayer, more sacred images, and more spiritual conversation into the home can often make the demonic influence manifest itself through this kind of aversion, which in turn reveals the true nature of the battle you are in. So what do you do? If you recognize these signs in your family, the first step is not to panic, but to pray. You must recognize that you're in a spiritual battle and you must use spiritual weapons. Begin by praying the rosary as a family every day. The rosary is a powerful weapon that the devil hates. Consecrate your family to the Immaculate Heart of Mary and the Sacred Heart of Jesus. Place blessed objects, crucifixes, holy water, blessed salt in your home. Go to confession frequently. A family that goes to confession together is a powerful threat to the kingdom of darkness. And most importantly, have masses said for your family. The Mass is the most powerful prayer in the universe. The representation of Christ's victory on the cross. It is the ultimate weapon. The battle for your family is real, but you are not powerless. Christ has already won the war. Our job is to enforce his victory in our own homes. Do not be afraid. Recognize the signs, name the enemy, and fight back with the weapons the Church has given you. If you find mysteries like this compelling, consider following for more content that illuminates the eternal truths of the Church.